Hey, this is Jen. This is the first in a series of videos about panic attacks and generalized, just kind of intense anxiety. We don't have to call them panic attacks. I don't really love that word. I use it because it's the thing that people search for on Google when they're having these experiences of being overwhelmed by anxiety. But yeah, I think we could use all kinds of different words for it, but that's for another day. Anyway, so there's going to be kind of sequence steps for all of these because starting to do panic attacks instead of them doing you is a progressive thing. So this is the first step, step number one, and it is the thing that people don't love, which is instead of trying to get out of the panic attack, I'm going to tell you to go into the panic attack. So instead of turning away from it, being like, I want out of this, which usually we do, they don't feel very good, we're going to turn toward them. So what I want you to do, instead of trying to get out of it, is start to pay attention to it. I want you to know your panic attacks. What's your heart rate like? What are you thinking? Like, you actually probably have like a little repertoire of thoughts that you have, and they're either the same or in the same genre for every single panic attack. So I want you to figure out, what are you thinking when you have a panic attack? What are you feeling? I want you to just get it all down. Pretend so awesome movies being made about your life that includes these lovely panic attacks, and you need to know them so well that you can train the actor who is of course wonderful, beautiful, amazing actor who's going to play you, and you need to train them to authentically look and seem like they're having a panic attack in this movie. So you need to think, what do I think? How do I feel? What's my posture? What do I do? I like swallow heavy. I'm like, oh, like I want you to pay as much attention to the panic attack as you can. What do you want to do? What do you actually end up doing? Where do you tend to have them the most? All of these things. So it's like, if you were going to make a really high-end quality movie that's really accurate, where would it take place? Who would be there? What would you be saying? What would you be feeling? You know, every single thing. Our brain is really trying to get our attention in panic attacks. So this will come out more and more through the other videos. But really, if we give it our attention, that's the beginning of starting to really change the experience of having a panic attack. You're having it anyway. I mean, and in some way we kind of want to be like, I don't want to do it. It's like, you're already doing it. And this idea that like it's going to get you, or like you can't do it. Like, I'm not saying just you have it personally, is like pretty common. We have this thing of like, oh, if I pay attention to it, then it's going to be really awful. Or like, this panic attack might kill me. For most people, we've been having panic attacks like kind of a long time. We kind of know about having panic attacks. We're like actually pretty good at them in that like they don't kill us. So what I'm going to have you do for this between now and the next video, and I really suggest that you don't just watch the next video. You can, but don't institute those steps until you just do these for at least 1 week and maybe a couple weeks. Just start to notice, what is your panic attack? People say, oh, I have panic attacks, I have anxiety. Well, it's kind of a catch-all. It's like, what is your panic attack? What does that mean? What does that look like? And when you start to really understand and see your panic attack, hopefully you can bring as little judgment to it as possible. Like, oh, these are the thoughts I have. I always call it 2 scoops of poop, where you're like, oh, I have thoughts about how I suck. And then I have thoughts about how I suck because I have thoughts about how I suck. It's like, let's just take the second injury out of there and just leave it with like, oh, I think about how I feel inadequate, or I think about how I always screw things up, or I think about how other people are better than me, or whatever it is that you think about in your train of thoughts. Just try and notice it and then leave it alone. Like, just let that be. That's what happens. It's really uncomfortable, pretty crummy, but it's not the worst thing that could be happening, actually, even though our brain's sort of telling us it is. Can you let your panic attack happen and not abandon yourself while it's happening? It is not super fun, but it ends up being a really integral step in the next steps of this. So just be with your panic attacks. Have a panic attack. Like, you have it instead of it's having you. Be like, okay, panic attack, let's do it. Okay, let's tight chest. Okay, yep, got that. What else can we get in this panic attack? Like, try and really, like, quality panic attacks. Do them instead of moving away from them. Okay, so that's your homework. If you want to add on one little thing, it's a maybe at this point because not everyone can do it. See if you can notice how it feels. I know some of the feelings, like, it feels scary and I'm panicking. I don't know, it just feels crappy. But if you notice, like, when you say the things to yourself that you're saying, your little repertoire of things, the buffet of self-deprecation that you're probably going with, can you be conscious of the thought, like, I feel like a piece of garbage? You know, maybe that's not your thought, but whatever it is. And then take enough space after you say that to feel how that feels when you say that. And just feel the feeling of, like, doesn't feel great when I tell myself I'm garbage. Don't stop telling yourself you're garbage. Don't stop having the panic attack. What we want to do is take an inventory and get real about what is actually happening. That's crucial. Before we try and change what's happening, we have to actually track what's happening. It's all happening for some kind of reasoning in your brain. So let's get clear on what's happening. Good luck. Keep going. Bye.